Hey there and welcome, guys. This is Lorenzo Aranda, Mr. A, Mr. Aranda, however you want to call me. This is how I'm going to be e-teaching from now on. I'm going to be using Twitch Studio Beta in order to record my screen and upload it to YouTube. And then you guys could comment if you have questions or clarifying comments you need to make. I might also assign you guys an assignment where you do have to comment on the YouTube comment page, or you might need to have a dialogue with each other down there. So do keep that in mind. I'm primarily going to try to use YouTube. I still will post links in Google Classroom because not everybody has access to Google Classroom or the assignments on their phone. Not everybody has a laptop. So that's why I'm going to be doing this. If you've already done your Alderman assignments, I'm going to be answering questions at the end of this video regarding school closings, or not school, school closings, regarding technology, regarding what we know. So that's if you've already done the Alderman assignment. If you haven't, well, I'm going to spend this entire video describing how to do the Alderman assignment in greater detail. So please stick around for that if you feel that you need help on this Alderman assignment. I'm going to be addressing the DBQ assignments a little bit later, as in a different video. This is more of a test video to see how this works out. Also, this is Infinity, woo. But anywho, welcome. First, what is an alderman? An alderman is your local representative. This is the person who addresses your community problems, because our country is big and you're not going to contact the president for any minor issue you have. If you have a pothole, you're not going to go, "Excuse me, Donald Trump, please stop dealing with the wars and the economy and the coronavirus. Instead, please fill in this pothole for me." No, he's not going to do that. You also cannot contact J.B. Pritzker, or should not rather, because he is dealing with the entire state. "Excuse me, Mr. Pritzker, please fill in this pothole," instead of dealing with the whole Illinois economy or the coronavirus in this state. He just doesn't have the time for that. You also shouldn't contact Lori Lightfoot. She deals with the city as a whole. We have millions of people in the city, and she does not have time for an individual pothole or anything minor within the community. And that's where your alderman comes in. Your alderman deals with your local problems. They do have time for your potholes. They do have time for local strays and for lights and things of that nature. So why are we doing this? This is because a lot of your projects have been canceled because of the coronavirus. A lot of volunteer places aren't taking volunteers, and I don't want you guys to go out and get sick either, because, well, you might die, which is pretty bad, but the more likely possibility is that since you guys are young and healthy, you probably have a good immune system. But that does not mean that everybody around you has a good immune system. You could pass it on to a child or an elder person who do not have as good immune systems as you. So please be considerate of them as well, okay? So we're doing this alderman assignment as a supplement instead. Now here's what you have to do. First, you got to find out who your alderman is. We will address that later. Second, you got to write them an email with proper email etiquette about an issue in your community. Now here are some examples of issues in your community. First, potholes. Second, stray animals such as rats or things like that, or maybe rats or things of that nature. Third, maybe there's just a lot of trash in your neighborhood, but a lot of litter. Okay. Fourth, maybe there's a street light that's flickering on and off or doesn't have a bright enough bulb or is out. Or maybe you want a street light in your neighborhood because it's too dark. Those are things you can ask your alderman for. Fifth, maybe cars are just zooming through your neighborhood, right? Ask them to install a speed bump. Ask them to put a stop sign here or there. Now, they could also deal with gang violence, but remember, for this assignment, you need to offer a solution. If you cannot offer a solution, then do not cover that, okay? A couple of students had told me my neighborhood's relatively good, that it's not loud, no potholes, relatively safe. Well, in that case, you don't need to talk about an issue in your community, but talk about an improvement in your community. Maybe the crosswalk's paint is wiping off. So, in that case, have them redo the paint so they could see everything that happens. Maybe you need an extra trash can in your community to deal with any little bits of litter. have them install a trash can. Maybe you have a lot of little children who like to play in the street. You can have them install one of those children at play signs in your neighborhood. They also do that for students, or rather people who are special need, where if they have a student who is deaf or a kid who is deaf, they would say, that person is at play, be careful, because obviously they are more likely to get into an accident. BCC me and turn this in on Google Classroom by March 30th. This is fake news. April 3rd, 12:59 or 11:59, okay? Gonna give you guys more time because the situation is evolving. This will be rated according to Rubric 12.1a. We'll go through that later. It's also a grade. So what does BCC mean? This is a common thing that I've gotten asked. So BCC, so when you put in email, alderman@alderman.com, not a real email, but let's have fun. You'll get two options, CC and BCC. Carbon copy, blind carbon copy. So when you CC somebody, you are telling a person that you're sending the email to someone else as well. So if I put CC and I put Stosic can see an email I sent to the alderman. The alderman can also see an email I sent to Stosic. Now, BCC, if you put me here, for example, I can see that you sent the email to these two people, but they cannot see that you sent the email to me. It's a blind carbon copy. They don't know. So why am I asking you guys to make me a blind carbon copy instead of a carbon copy? This is so that way your email has more weight to it, so that way it's more powerful. If they see that you CC'd me, they're going to figure, oh, this kid's just doing it for the grade, just doing it for his teacher. I'm not going to bother doing anything about this assignment. You may be doing this for the grade, but this is still a chance for you to improve your community. By BCCing me, they'll think you care about your community more so and might actually change something about it. I've already had a few students who have had their aldermen respond. And so this is an opportunity about making your community better. And you can do that through a simple email. Okay? So do your best on that. Now, you might ask, well, who's my alderman? Great question. You go to the slide here. You click this link. Find your ward and alderman, okay? So, let's say you're on your phone and you can't do this, right? That's a very common thing because not all of us can access Google Classroom. So instead, you put it in Google, find your ward and alderman Chicago, click on the first link, same page. So you need to put it right here, your address. I'm going to use my old address, 2510 West Thomas Street. I used to be represented by Daniel Espada in Ward 1. This is the important thing. You scroll up, you put Ward 1, click, and then right here, you got the email, Alderman Daniel Espada. You copy it. Now, I don't recommend that you put the email right here right away. Instead, you should write the email first, then you paste it. This is so that way you don't accidentally send them the email midway through. You make sure your email is proper, there's no grammar issues, things like that. So that way they take you more seriously. Now, a couple of interesting things though. Not all alderman pages look like this, okay? So I could put Ward 17 as an example. First, you have a nice picture, right? A nice man with a nice mustache. More of us should have that. Second, notice that he does not have a fax. Daniel Espada had a fax, but this man does not. Now, a fax may not be a very big deal for some of you, but some aldermen, as in Ward 31, does not have a picture and does not have their email. So what do you do in this case? Well, in this case, you Google alderman and their name and the ward they represent, and you search it, and it's very likely that they have a website. So right here, home, alderman, 31st, resource contact, right? Contact them. This page is glitchy. Ignore that. You put your name, your email, your street address, your phone number. You copy and paste the message right here into this box, okay? The message that you're going to write in here and into here. You'll probably get a confirmation email. In that case, I want you to screenshot that and then put insert and then insert the image so that way I know you did that. So how should this email look? There are 4 sections to this. First section, an introduction to who you are and where you live. Tell them about your living in the community. So here's an example, which is right here. Dear Alderman, my name is Lorenzo Aranda, and I am a resident in your ward. I live at Western and Division. I have been a resident of your district for several months now. Thank you for taking the time to read this in such difficult times. So, what am I doing in here, right? An introduction to who you are. I'm telling them who I am, right? Lorenzo Aranda. And I'm a resident, because if you're not a resident in their ward, they don't care about you. Go talk to your actual alderman. Now, I'm also giving them specific, or I'm giving them general cross streets. You don't have to give them your actual address if you're not comfortable doing that. If you don't even want to give them the closest cross streets, give them the major cross streets, so that way they know where you live, okay? Western and Division are big cross streets. I don't actually live there. That's actually where Roberto Clemente is, and I don't live beside Clemente. So I add this little part at the end about responding in difficult times because it is difficult times. The coronavirus is a big deal at the moment, so you should acknowledge that. The more courteous you are, the more likely you are to get them to respond. That's a nice little life hack. Next, section 2. You should describe the issue in your community and be very specific about it. For example, if it is a faulty light, describe the location of the light. If certain crossroads need a stop sign, then say which crossroads. If it is a pothole, then where is it? Local stray animals, then describe where they typically hang out and why it's important. So the second section, you guys should leave space, a line here, so it's easy on the eyes. As a resident of your community, the one thing that I noticed that is an issue is the back lot behind the auto zone. This is a lot that is property of the city and has many deep potholes, in fact, over 20 separate potholes. This makes it extremely difficult on vehicles, though the vehicles are the least of my concerns, as this area is a small haven for little animals such as rats to crawl through. It is also next to a playground that many small children use and many people cross to get to Division, thus making it a health hazard to the entire community as a whole. There are pictures attached to this email. I forgot to put pictures there, guys. Life happens. So what am I doing here? First, I'm describing the issue, and I'm also being very specific about it. The auto zone, Division, 20 separate potholes, lots of little animals that hide inside these potholes, and playground where children play. So it's a very big issue. And third, politicians get a lot of complaints, okay? So offer a solution so that way they're more likely to respond. In addition, I want you to keep in mind that there are many ways to respond to an issue. So, for example, let's say the issue is that there's animals, right? Well, do you want them to call animal control and have them deal with the issue? Do you want them to shoot the animal? Do you want them to get a bigger animal and put it in the community? Do you want them to put rat poison? Do you want them to try to put them in a local animal shelter? Keep in mind there are multiple ways to solve a problem, so be specific about your solution. Right here. I believe the best way to address this is to first start by filling up the potholes, so that way the animals don't have any place to hide, and the community can spot the animals to take precautions by avoiding them. This also protects the vehicles. Of course, once this is done, it would be best to put some type of rat poison or let animal control deal with the issue. You should put up a sign that would warn the residents about the issue in case they walk their pets near the lot. Then, an inspection of the playground should be done to make sure the animals did not migrate over there. Thus, this protects the health and integrity of our community and encourages children to be active as well as helping their car owners out. So, this is very specific, and I'm telling them what they should be doing here. Fourth, at the end, thank them for their time, provide your contact info. So I would like to say thank you for taking the time to address these concerns. I appreciate the help. You can contact me at laranda8@cps.edu or at my phone number. Now, the whole reason I put at my phone number, to be perfectly honest, is I didn't want you guys having my phone number. But you could put your personal cell phone number if you think your alderman should text you or call you, because they do sometimes. Now, let's go through the rubric, okay? The rest of this email is just a quick summary, and it's also telling you to be formal with your tone. But the rubric. So there's 20 points available. Introduce precise knowledgeable claims, significance of claims, counterclaims, organization, grammar, or writing. So, introduce precise knowledgeable claims. What does this mean? This basically means that you're describing the problem and you're being very specific about it. So, for example, let's go through this first. What separates a 4, 3, 2, and 1 are just a few words. You address the problem in a nuanced way, specific, very general, or a vague way. So an example of something that is vague. Excuse me, there's lots of potholes in Chicago. Can you please fill them? Okay. You're addressing the prompt technically, but that's really vague. Lots of potholes in Chicago, right? Second, an example of something that's very general is that, hey, please fill in the potholes in the Humboldt Park area. Right? That's more specific, but not very specific. Humboldt Park is a big neighborhood. Third, in a specific way. Excuse me, dear sir. Can you please fill in the potholes along Kedzie and Division? There's quite a few. Okay, so that's extremely specific, right? So you're telling them the location of the potholes, and you're telling them to fill it. Now, the difference between specific and nuance is that nuance is more detailed and more complicated. So when they fill in potholes, they need a crew there to work it, so it might cause traffic delays. So a nuanced way to approach this would be, excuse me, gracious alderman, if you would kindly fulfill or fill in the potholes along Division and Kedzie during the hours of 9 and 5, that'd be much appreciated. This way there's little disruption in the community while these potholes are being filled, and the construction workers can work in a safe environment. See, so that's very nuanced. Now, if we look at the alderman example, this is more or less of an example before, right? First, it's very specific and it's nuanced. What makes this nuanced is that I am stacking multiple claims off of these potholes. I am still telling them there are many deep potholes, 20 potholes. But since there are so many potholes, rats live there, and since there's a playground next to there, rats and playgrounds don't mix. Kids will probably get bitten, and people in general cross it, and thus it's a health hazard. So the nuance here comes from the fact that it's a butterfly effect, and that these potholes are leading to rats, which are leading to children getting bitten, which are leading to health hazards. So that's what I mean by nuance, more complicated. Significance of the claims with strong evidence, weak evidence, show significance of claims, does not show significance. So if you fail to show significance, that's basically you'd say, fill the potholes. Show significance, that's 2. Fill the potholes because my vehicle goes bump. Okay, that's technically significant. Third, weak evidence. Fill in the potholes because my vehicle degrades every time it goes over a pothole. Yeah, that's technically evidence, but it's kind of weak. Strong evidence. I was riding my bike, and then my bike got caught in a pothole, and I fell, and I almost got hit by a car. That's pretty strong evidence because you almost died. So right here, first, if the pictures were included, this would immediately be very strong evidence, immediately, because you're showing them a visual. Second, by counting the potholes and then explaining all of this here, this is also evidence that I am using to support my claim that the pothole should be filled, and it's very strong. Which one is it? There we go. Distinguish between claims and counterclaims. 1 is failing to recognize a counterclaim, so you don't mention it. 2 is mentioning it but not addressing it. 3 is addressing the counterclaim, and 4 is addressing and refuting it. So this is something that admittedly could be more clear. My counterclaim here would be, though the vehicles are the least of my concerns. So right here, I could have done a much better job making sure this was a counterclaim and put something like, some may say, why should you spend time filling in these potholes when there are bigger issues? Well, you should spend time filling in these potholes because if I put that in, that immediately is more clear about the counterclaim. I am immediately making that more of a 4 because I'm addressing, and then when I describe it, I am refuting. So if I just change a small line right here, some may say, why should you spend your time filling in these potholes when there are bigger issues? You should fill in the pothole because they are a small haven. So then you continue with the rest of the part. Thus, make it a health hazard to the entire community as a whole, and that is something worth spending your time on. So with these little bits of adjustments, I immediately make it a much clearer 4, right? Because I'm addressing and refuting. Because before with the verbiage or the language, it made it kind of seem like it was addressing, sort of, refuting. It was a little unclear to the grader. Organized logically orders everything. Basically, if you follow this format, 1, 2, 3, 4, the sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're getting a 4 on that. Although, if you choose to go away from the formula, but it's still easy to read, it could still be a 4. Last one, grammar or writing. So, try to be as precise as possible with your language. Make sure that nothing's misspelled. Make sure that your grammar is nice and correct and it flows well. Now, the whole reason for this, too, is that people will discount you if you can't spell well, if you don't sound like you talk proper, things like that. So be very precise when speaking, and be very careful with your wording. Make sure that the connotation and the denotation are appropriate for the situation. That's just an important part of letter making. They take you more seriously when you sound smarter, okay? So I've basically addressed most of these things here, okay? I'm going to change the due date on that actually right now. I've basically addressed everything that needs to be addressed at the moment. So now I got to start answering those questions I told you I was going to answer at the start of the video. First, are we going to be back in school by April 21st? My guess is probably not. Because if Chicago follows the model that other cities and countries have followed when it comes to the coronavirus, there's a very high likelihood that we won't peak until April 16th, roughly. So do keep that in mind, guys. And we're probably not going to be back at school that day, so it might be a while. But this is just speculation, because Trump wants to open the economy on Easter, but that's a very unrealistic possibility at the moment. Next, e-learning. Well, this is probably going to be the format. I'm going to try to figure out a schedule. I'm probably not going to assign you an individual major assignment every day. It's probably small things that will lead up to building an essay or making like a paragraph or a counter argument. I don't want to do too many essays. Not until like everybody actually gets a Chromebook or something, because writing an essay on a phone is difficult. You could also take pictures of assignments and then send them to me that way. I've had a student or two turn it in that way immediately too, and I do accept that. I also want to clarify that, where is this? Sorry. On Google Classroom too, is that if you are turning in your assignments, which quite a few of you have, make sure that you hit the turn in button, because sometimes, like, I could see a few students right here have a, where are they? Like a few students have, it's been assigned to, but they haven't quite turned it in yet. So I want you guys to keep that in mind, okay? Hit the turn in button. Although if I got an email, I will go through that email. Yes, I will also respond to Rodrigo if that is a burning question. Let me think. Is there anything else? We're gonna get through this together. Oh yeah, grades. So as of March 28th, 10:36 p.m., which is when I'm recording this video, because I've had to record this video like 5 times due to sound issues, because this microphone isn't the best. The grading policy is still such that we cannot grade you in a way that your grade will drop. So what will happen is that, let's say you write an essay for me, or these 2 assignments. Then after you write them, let's say you get an F on them. I might tell you, hey, this is what you got according to the rubric, but I will not put that in Aspen. I will just leave it as an empty. Once you get it to a level where your grade can go up, then I'm going to put it in. Okay? If it gets in immediately, I'm just going to put it in like that. In addition to this, we're going to start financial literacy. Either after spring break, if we do have a spring break, because I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't. So either April 6th or April 13th, because you guys really need consumer education. And the first thing we're going to talk about are banks, savings accounts, money market accounts, things like that, okay? That are very helpful. I think that's really it, guys. I hope this video goes well. If it turned out fine, that's fine. That's it, I think, guys. Have a nice day. I will try to update you with more videos. Live your best life. And record.